search to find the love within. I came back to let you know, got a thing for you, and I can't let go. My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in a daze from your love, you see. I came back to let you know.
There we go. Oh, okay. All right.
And I can't let go.
There we are. Okay. Crisis averted.
Wouldn't be a Quang cast if it didn't start off scuffed.
That is true. Thank you, Critical Event. And who else? Silo Simon. Thank you for the 6 months. What's up, people? Happy Monday. Lots to cover today. Yeah, we do. We do have a lot. You're on mobile today. Did you miss everything?
B. Stern donated $4.20.
Okay.
Sorry, but I must confess. It was not me that made a dono to start the halftime show.
5 months, Pog.
Wait. Thank you for the...
Love the streams, Pog.
Why do these sound scuffed as fuck? B-Sturm thing... Are these cursed for you guys as well? That was the most cursed RIRI. I don't know.
We are scuffed.
Jen, the party leader, M Techno TV, Hades897, thank you all for the resubs. Why are the scuffed alerts back? What happened? I don't know. I mean, maybe the conservatives are right, and whatever Rihanna was doing, it was satanic, just like everything else that is happening. Everything is satanic, including those alerts. Bitch better have my money. Bitch better have my money. Yeah, it was satanic because she wore red. Because, you know, everything red is associated with Satan, including the color of the Conservative Party. Beep, beep, boop, boop, boop. Boop, 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 beep. Okay, yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today. So a couple things we're going to cover. One, we're going to talk about Megan Fox and MGK and what the hell is happening. We're going to talk about aliens. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about He Gets Us, the Jesus campaign. And the $100 million that has been pumped into the campaign so that we all convert to Christianity. And we're gonna, yeah, lots of odds and ends. So, when all of the lights came on, I was like, I was scared. For a second, I was a little scared. I was like, he's not coming out. And then let's see. After all the lights, it was Run This Town, which is another Kanye and Jay-Z song with Rihanna. And even still, I was like, no, please no. It is a good song. Interesting choice, though, because I know I wasn't the only person sitting there thinking to themselves, He's not about to come out, is he? So, you know what? Since we're talking about it, let's talk about Rihanna. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. Let's talk about the halftime show. So, not like people aren't always arguing online about everything, including something like the halftime show, which is one of the biggest music events in the world. It drew in something like 118 million people this year, 5 million more than the actual game itself. So people tune the fuck in for the halftime show, which is why it's a really big deal. Now, I don't know if you know this, but typically the A-list musicians who do the show, they make $0, right? They're not being paid for their performance. What they're being paid in is the exposure to tens of millions of people. How many car fires in Philly last night? Yeah, for real. So Rihanna kind of chose, like, she understood, of course, what the benefits were in exposure from doing the show. And so her taking that moment and patting her face with the Fenty makeup, I was like, oh, we're never getting new music. Like, that's it. Between the baby and her displaying Fenty makeup on stage, I was like, I think that's it. I think we all need to come to terms with the fact that Rihanna ain't putting out a new album. Okay? She said, you get Fenty, all right, and babies. That's all you're getting from me. Okay? I'm a businesswoman now. You're not getting a Rihanna album. And it's funny because I think so many people went into this Rihanna halftime just fervently hoping and wishing and praying that it was going to be her comeback, right? Because with the exception of the song that she made for Wakanda, she hasn't put out an album in 7 years, like since 2016. So a lot of big Rihanna fans, I think, were wishfully thinking that her appearance at the Super Bowl was going to be like, I'm back. I'm making music. And instead she went, I'm back and I'm making another baby. Here you go. It's amazing too, because the second I saw her, I was like, oh, she's pregnant. Like, there's no doubt. I know she just had a baby, but I see her and I'm like, oh, she's pregnant. Meanwhile, there are like not raging, that's dramatic, but I'm in multiple group chats with various friend groups, and everyone's going back and forth like, oh, she's pregnant. Like, she's not pregnant, okay? As someone who's had a baby, this is what it looks like when you're recovering. And I'm like, okay, as someone who hasn't had a baby but has opinions that are correct, she's pregnant again. Like, what are we talking about? And it was amazing. Like, even after she made it very clear that she was rubbing her belly and was like, you're not getting new music because I'm all about Fenty Beauty and I'm having a second kid. People in my group chats were still debating if she was having a baby. I was like, you know what? Okay. All right. Just think what you want to think. You're not getting new music. Just whether she's pregnant or not, which she is pregnant, you're not getting new music. It's time for you to understand that. It's time for you to come to terms with this. Oh, yeah. It's this TikTok.
Are you kidding me? Right? You are a disgrace of a human being. Not everyone can look like a Kardashian after they give birth, okay? You have to let women's bodies snap back on their own, at their own time. You should be ashamed of yourself. That's... What? Oh, she is pregnant? It's confirmed? Oh.
Yeah. What's up, Stan? Stan's the mans. Welcome in, Raiders. Hello, hi. Hi, shouts out to Stans. He and I are still planning our great Master Baker comeback one of these days. We disappointed you all, and we know that. So we are figuring out a way to right that ship, to make things right. Staniel raid. I love that. Staniel. Hi, everybody. I am Caroline Kwan. Welcome to the Quantourage stream. We are getting into some Super Bowl talk. We're talking Rihanna. We are talking the Jesus He Gets Us campaign that's being shoved into our faces to the tune of $100 million. Because Jesus gets us, you know? He just gets us. We are also going to be chatting about Philadelphia, because I think Philadelphia is the only city, genuinely, that riots whether they win or lose. Philadelphia is like, we won, we're rioting. Philadelphia is like, we lost, we're also rioting. They just love to riot. I never remember if it's, yeah, okay, it is Philadelphia. So there was this robot called the Hitchbot, and it traveled across the United States. Okay. This thing was a hitchhiking robot that was, I don't know, maybe a symbol of world peace or something in traveling across the United States, and people, every time it would get to somebody's city, you know, the people of that city would come together in excitement for the robot, take pictures of it, and then wish it a merry way as it traveled, as it continued to make its way across the country until it got to Philadelphia. And what did Philadelphia do? Philadelphia beat the shit out of this robot, out of this hitchhiking robot that was just trying to live. Philadelphia saw this robot and they said, fuck this robot. We're going to kill this robot. And they did. This was the robot, by the way. Look at it. It's cute. It's waving an American flag. It's got little boots on. And this is what happened to it after it got to Philly. Yeah, it was mauled. It was ripped apart. Philadelphia said, "Fuck this robot. We're taking it apart. This robot is never gonna live to see another day." Yeah. Oh boy, Philadelphia. So they're pissed because they lost in the Super Bowl to Kansas City. And listen, I watched the game last night. And by watched the game, I mean, I watched other people who cared more about the game watch the game and then would tune in every so often and be like, what's going on? Because like many of us, I was there for Rihanna. And as I mentioned earlier on stream, there were 5 million more people who tuned in to just watch the halftime show for Rihanna than to actually watch the game. So it was something like 118 million people tuned in to figure out whether or not Rihanna is going to release new music ever again. And it was pretty clear after the performance that, one, she's never releasing new music ever again. And two, that this was going to be an argument online, on Twitter specifically, as to whether or not she pulled off a great show. So, here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. One, I just want to preface before I give my opinion. It's really dumb to compare Rihanna, who's pregnant again, to somebody like Beyonce or somebody else who's pregnant and has performed and been like, well, Why didn't she do that, right? Like, I think everyone's pregnancy is different. I don't know if we should be looking at somebody like Beyonce, who has said many times before that she took risks when she was pregnant with Blue Ivy in performing that she never would do again. That she was like, my body and my health is more important. And then when she was pregnant with her twins, she's like, I am going to be much more careful with my health when performing. Okay, so just like to get that out there. So what I would say is, like, was Rihanna's performance fine? Yeah. Does she have great dancey songs? Yes. Was this a top 10 Super Bowl performance? No. I don't think that she cared for it to be. I think Rihanna is truly one of the rare performers who doesn't give a shit, right? She did not go to the Super Bowl with the goal in mind to deliver, you know, like one of the greatest halftime performance shows you've ever seen. I think that she showed up to be like, I still got it. Like, I'm still here, bitch. But I think Rihanna at this point in her career, especially, she's a businesswoman, right? She literally showed off her Fenty Beauty, her makeup, by patting her cheeks during a song, which was iconic, because that's where she is. She's worth $1.4 billion, right? Like, her entire, everything that she puts her energy into now is mainly her business. It's Fenty. Who just said something about Meech? It's always Meech. It is always Meech. It is always Meech. True. We're too online. She's worth that much? Yes. Yeah, she's rich as fuck. And I think that she did as much as she wanted to do, right? And so that being said, I think it's perfectly fine to say that was not that special of a halftime performance. There's nothing in there that particularly, you know, is memorable or like any iconic moments that will go down in Super Bowl history as being iconic moments, because I don't think she cared for it to be. Like, I genuinely think she was like, I'm going to sing my most up-tempo, upbeat songs. I'm going to end on the platform. And that's going to be it. You know? So I think too many people are it's like the amount of thought pieces I've seen where they correctly acknowledge her nonchalance, right? Which she's notorious for. Rihanna is notorious for being nonchalant about everything. But how many think pieces have like twisted this into some gigantic stance on feminism where I'm like, But I feel that same way about people who have written these dissertations on how bad the performance was. I'm like, y'all, let's just chill and call it what it was, which was mid. Like, it was fine. It felt low effort, low energy, because that's what she wanted. She looked over it, right? Like, this is a woman who she doesn't give a shit that people have for the past 7 years been like throwing themselves on the train tracks and saying, I'm gonna let the train run me over unless Rihanna puts out an album. She doesn't give a fuck. She does not. She does not care. She's like, oh, I mean, where's the Kendall Jenner tweet? This is classic Rihanna. And this goes all the way back to, let me see. Somebody finds it before me. Just link it. Here it is. This is classic Rihanna, right? This was from years ago, and Kendall tweeted, if Rihanna doesn't perform Complicated tomorrow, I'm going to be very upset. Hashtag fave song. And she said, well, don't come. Which is just just mwah, mwah. Just an amazing response. Well, don't come. Because that's Rihanna, right? She doesn't give a fuck. She's like, you want me to perform a song that you like? Don't come. You want an album? I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm selling my Fenty lingerie and makeup and have made $1.4 billion. I don't care. Hi, Caroline. I saw the tweet about bottle service finger snappy lady. I'm not cool enough to have heard the story the first time. Would you mind retelling it? Yeah, I'll tell it. I'll tell it in a second. If I forget, you can just remind me. Rihanna on Twitter a decade ago. You know what? I miss celebrities on Twitter. Somebody tweeted recently about like the bygone era of celebrities on Twitter who used to just say the craziest shit, right? Because they were tweeting on their own. And now I feel like Chrissy Teigen was one of the last celebrities who was in control for Twitter. And then because she said so many heinous things throughout the years, and she's just one of those people that like people love or hate, and also love to hate, that she was like the final bastion of celebrities tweeting. And now all of their PR teams, for the most part, are in control of their Twitter. So like you don't get just like off the cuff crazy tweets from celebs. I still quote Rihanna's "Your pussy is way too dry to be riding my dick right now." Yeah, right. I mean, she is the queen of, like, a lot of people think Beyonce gives off I don't give a fuck vibes, but not in the way that Rihanna does. Beyonce gives off I don't give a fuck vibes in a, like, she'll show up late to an award ceremony where she's winning a historic award, right? But I think that more speaks to her complicated relationship with something like the Grammys than it does with like Beyonce's not caring. Beyonce cares very much. Beyonce cares very much about music, and she's always in the studio recording, right? She's just pissed for reasons of that are very specific to Beyonce. Rihanna genuinely, she's not going to give you anything that you want if she doesn't want to give it to you. And that was the Super Bowl show. Like that was it. And maybe people just haven't realized that about Rihanna, or maybe I don't know. They whatever. But my birthday was yesterday. Can I get a happy birthday? Yeah, you sure can. Happy birthday, Pure Skill 9. I hope you had a great day. Rihanna just be living life. Yeah, she's a fucking billionaire. A true billionaire. So, I think that's it, right? Like, you have all these conservatives who are so upset. It's Noah P. Thank you for the 6 months. Like, Donald Trump, he's got some very specific beef with Rihanna. Okay. He's commented multiple times.
You can stand under my umbrella. Ella, A.
These alerts are so scuffed today. Dan, thank you for the 6 months. Yeah, if you've never heard the scuffed alerts before, it happens very rarely, and it's happening today. So, So Trump, this is not his only tweet about Rihanna, but this is one that certainly is telling his truth on Truth Social. Epic fail. Rihanna gave, without question, the single worst halftime show in Super Bowl history. This after insulting far more than half of our nation. which is already in serious decline with her foul and insulting language. Also, so much for her stylist. And it's funny because he's tweeted multiple times about Rihanna and her stylist. Like he has some fascination with Rihanna's stylist. Like he keeps saying that Rihanna is only where she is because of her stylist, or like all of the credit should go to the stylist. And now here he says also so much for her stylist, like not even her stylist could have saved this performance. And the great thing about it is that Rihanna wore one outfit, right? She didn't have this like crazy wardrobe change filled with, a multitude of outfits that would be considered offensive or lame or like whatever Donald Trump is calling them. I guess it's the fact that she wore red, right? But the outfit that she wore was it was designed by, hold on. Styled by Jaleel Weaver, who's responsible for many of her memorable red carpet looks. So the coat was important though, because it was designed custom for her by Peter Moulier. And let's see, okay. And then the jumpsuit was custom designed by Jonathan Anderson. Like it's just such a strange thing to be honing in on. And I genuinely think that conservatives are so up their asses now and are looking for anything to equate back to the devil. I heard Ben Shapiro talking about this. They did the same shit with the Grammys, right? There has been a real uptick in conservatives who are looking at everything that the left are doing, and the left encompasses, everything that's not conservative like life, right? So Hollywood, the Democrats, the Grammys, which is part of Hollywood, and they are looking for every instance, like anything that they can, to point to and feed this narrative that the left are in cahoots with Satan. I'm like, is that what makes us more talented than y'all when it comes to like entertainment? Because I've been seeing, okay, wait, I want to pull up a couple things, but so I'll just do it. I honestly, I think maybe they're looking for some explanation as to why the left is just so much more. They're just better. They're just better at everything, right? They're better at making movies. They're better at comedy. They're better at music, right? Because this is what the right has. Okay? This is their entertainment.
They've been living in a bubble forever. Asking questions have nothing to do with the real world. What is my gender, Mom? What is my gender? Your gender is
FYI.
Get a job. That's your gender.
Your gender is get a job.
What are they thinking? Ask what is a woman? They don't know that. That one they're asking all the time. What is a woman? I'll tell you what a woman is. A woman is me. That's what a woman is, okay? A woman is someone who cleans up everybody else's. That's what a woman is.
It's
A
so
woman
bad.
is somebody whose boobs hang down to her knees with a prolapsed uterus from giving birth to 5 ungrateful little privileged never had to work for anything in their whole damn life.
Y'all, I honestly, I don't know if it is the devil who's given the left just so much more talent, right? Well, maybe the conservatives need to take a page out of the book and start doing some Satan shit too. Okay? Because they ain't serving. Here's another example of someone that I found who's like a conservative comedian and makes these satire style TikToks, but she doesn't know how to use TikToks, so she's just making videos. Hi, thank you. The amount of conservatives who comment on this stuff and genuinely think that they're like, you should be on SNL.
Be over there. We're not the world's policemen, right? Make love, not war, right? Oh, stop it! It's not gonna cause World War III. We should give them
This is her interpretation of real leftists, by the way.
billions. We should give them missiles. We should give them tanks. We should tell them exactly where to strike. Yeah, it says give war a chance. Do you not know how to read? Oh yeah, like I'm totally opposed to big corporations. I mean, they're all about profit and they really like stomp out the little guy. So I shop local and like try not to support them in any way possible. I'm in full support of Big Pharma. Yes, they might be a big corporation. What's your point? Yeah, I started my own garden. Well, I heard that like they're starting to put like really unhealthy ingredients in food that can cause people to be overweight. And I just want to be healthy, so yeah, I'm gardening now. Well, I think they are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You and your body shaming. Yeah, I'm a huge John Denver fan. Yeah, Rocky Mountain High, leaving on a jet plane. I'm leaving on it. I can't sing, but I love that song. Only the elite should be able to fly on planes, private jets. Only the elite. The government should mind its own business. I mean, live and let live, right? Like you do you, I'll do me. I think it's absolutely fine if the government uses government agencies to force people to do things that they don't want to do. It's for the greater good. Bake the cake! Bake the cake! Psycho!
Yeah. So, they need some help. Yeah, they need some help, man. I mean, you know what I'll say too? At least once upon a time, before he got like just truly unhinged, Donald Trump was funny, okay? I'll say it. It's hard to deny that there were many moments that he would do things that were actually funny, like his little nicknames for his other, conservative foe. Right? I mean, what do you call it? Like his nicknames for Jeb Bush? Like when the Republican primary was happening, he would say some funny shit, little Marco. Yeah, meatball Ron. I mean, he's a horrible piece of shit, and I think that he has few actual funny moments as opposed to I don't know, like 6 years ago. He's still funny in an absurdist hellscape kind of way. Yeah. But otherwise, it's really hard to find conservatives who legitimately are funny. Like, can you think of any conservatives who are actually funny? And I'm saying this with an open mind. Like, let's be open-minded. Okay, let's be open-minded and think Truly. Kanye. I don't even know if I'd consider him a conservative. Dave Chappelle, yeah, but Dave Chappelle doesn't. Dave Chappelle's, yeah, he's a turf, but he's not a conservative though. Randy Quaid, I don't really think Randy Quaid is funny. I mean, he was funny back in the day when he was acting, but Will just said Dave Chappelle too. No, Dave is not an actual conservative though, as far as like he doesn't identify as a conservative. Ben Shapiro, oh God, Ben is so unfunny. Ben is somebody who thinks he's really funny. Martha Stewart is not a conservative. Jesus Christ. Did he have some jokes? Jesus had some jokes. I think you're right. Yeah, Ben is super cringe. I mean, he really is the energy he gives off. So I don't know if y'all know this, but Ben Shapiro is a failed screenwriter. Once upon a time, he tried to make it in Hollywood as a screenwriter. He didn't make it. So he essentially blamed the woke liberals in Hollywood and said that he was too conservative, which is what a lot of conservatives do. Kellyanne Conway tried to do stand up. Like there are many, many conservative pundits and politicians who once upon a time tried to make it in entertainment and then didn't make it. And so rather than consider the fact that they are just unfunny, untalented people, they were like, it's the liberal media who worship Satan. I feel like Rogan can be. Do you think Rogan is a true conservative? I mean, he obviously says a lot of things that are very conservative, but I don't. Does he consider himself a conservative too? Like, does he identify? He's like libertarian. Yeah, he kind of strikes me. Yeah, yeah. I think Rogan used to be funnier. I think that that's actually a thing true for Rogan type folk, where before they went too deep down kind of the conservative conspiracy rabbit hole, I really think that sucks out I think that sucks out like humor and the ability to be funny. Jeb Bush, you know who actually, like when he wasn't doing war crimes, was funny because he was aware of what a bumbling doofus he was George W. Bush. Like when GW kind of leaned into his bumbling personality, right? It was funny. He absolutely had his moments. Right? Whereas this Jeb Bush clip. Whereas Jeb Bush never fully
Really bad campaign. Look at this campaign.
Jeb never took that approach, right? Jeb wanted to just be seen as, he just wanted to be taken seriously.
This is in Hanover on Tuesday. Look at this.
I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
I mean, that shit was funny. That shit was so funny. I miss Jeb Bush, honestly. I wish he would come back. I kind of miss that era of like Jeb Bush, you know, all those guys who
Hyperclap.
thought that they could take on they could take on Donald Trump, right? Like Donald was a joke. Trump was a joke. These guys were politicians. And now we're just so far past the point of that ever happening again because of the MAGA base and because of politicians being so fucking scared of Trump. I mean, look at the way that Ron DeSantis handles Trump, like calling him a groomer. He's just like, I mean, I'm not a groomer, but he's gonna say what he wants to say. Like they can barely even defend themselves because they're so terrified of Trump and the MAGA base. Yeah. Whereas, back in the day, you had guys like Jeb Bush who they really thought that they could win. They never, like, Jeb Bush would never in a million years run again now, because that era is just over. That era is gone. So, anywho, I think we've come to the conclusion George Santos is pretty damn funny. I mean, I think Santos is funny in the way that you cannot believe the amount of fraud and lies this man has left in his wake, and just like he to me is the epitome of keep calm, carry on. Like he's just walking to the beat of his own drum. He doesn't give a shit. He's like, yeah, sure, I lied about everything and more, and may or may not have done some frauds, but it's fine. It's cool. I'm here. I'm queer, and I'm not going anywhere. Very Rihanna energy. It's funny to laugh at Santos, but he's not funny. No, he himself is not funny. I say it's the situation of this just, wow, okay. It's funny in a, we are so fucked. Like the GOP is so, it is just to a point now where Kevin McCarthy like won't do anything about a member of his own party who is a serial liar and has just absolutely no business being in Congress, but because he needs his vote and his support, he has to pretend like everything's fine. Yeah, it's funny in a like, oh my God, what a depressing point in politics we are at. My God, where you just have, people in the Republican Party from liars like George Santos to psychopaths like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert who are pulling the strings and are in control of things. Like, so these other politicians who, like a Kevin McCarthy, who was it that just said, was it MTG? Who was it that said Mitch McConnell is basically a Democrat? Like, that shit's funny. Let me see. Hold on. I saw this today. Mitch is Biden's bitch. Like, the idea that Mitch McConnell is a Democrat. I'm like, wow. Mitch McConnell, whose entire life purpose was to flip the Supreme Court to a conservative court in order to pass or block laws that suited his conservative little heart. Yep, a real Democrat. Fundamentally, most center Republicans and Dems may. Mitch McConnell is not a center Republican though, right? Like, of course, I would say Like I'm thinking of actual moderate Republicans. Mitt Romney, yeah, but he's still Mitt is so religious that a lot of his votes still will skew very conservative because of his religious interests. It's Susan Collins, I guess. The queen the queen of doing nothing. I don't think McConnell is senator, to be clear. Okay. Yeah, because I agree that there's a lot of overlap between, I mean, Jesus Christ, Kirsten Sinema is not an actual Democrat. Joe Manchin is not like really a Democrat. But anyway. Okay. So let me think of other Super Bowl. Okay, we had Rihanna.
People_Dini gifted a tier 1 sub to live right now.
Thank you, Wide People Dini, for the gifted. Okay, we talked about Rihanna. We talked about, I don't really care about the game. I know there was that call that everyone's really pissed about. And I know that people think like the refs are crooked. And what's his name? Pat Mahomes is the NFL's golden boy. I don't really have, yeah, we're going to talk about the Jesus commercial. And we're going to talk about what is happening with that campaign. But otherwise, I mean, like game-wise, I don't really have anything to say. I didn't see the Mr. Beast ad. I didn't really watch any ads besides the Jesus one because I wanted to comment on it. And then I saw, wait, what was the other one I saw? I can't even remember. Wait, didn't Logan Paul had one too? I think it was for Prime. His drink. Logan Paul and KSI's Prime Hydration. Yeah. The Pat Tillman shit was disgusting too. Yes. All right. Let's talk about the Jesus ad. Okay. Pull it up. Also, y'all, hopefully my computer doesn't freeze tonight, or my PC doesn't freeze tonight, but I did order
Imagine
some more.
The outrage if there was a Muslim ad.
True. Lickin', thank you for the 6 months. I did order some more RAM. I ordered 16 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm hoping that we can make it through tonight, and then I can add this RAM in and we'll be good. Will was laughing at me, like y'all were laughing at me when I said to him that because I forgot it's RAM and not RAM, and I said I need 16 RAM. And he just started laughing. And I went, you're just like my goddamn chat. Y'all are the same. He was like, you can't call it that. You can't. Okay, let's look at the refugee ad. Okay, is this? Yeah. So they had 2 ads. Loomy Gloom, thank you for the 5 months. Here to pay my monthly rent. I appreciate you. So you've probably been seeing this thing called He Gets Us. Okay. If you go on Reddit, this shit is all over Reddit. It's on Twitter. And just recently, last night, there were 2 ads in the Super Bowl. And they cost $20 million. And it is part of a $100 media campaign that He Gets Us, which is a campaign being run by the Servant Foundation, a nonprofit in Overland Park, Kansas. Is they have launched this campaign. They launched this campaign last year, and it is a way to bring in young people and people who are either disillusioned with Christianity and Jesus or have never identified by a religion but could potentially be open. So they are spending big time money on this campaign. So the funny thing about these ads is that they've actually pissed off a lot of conservatives. So we'll get to the group that's behind these ads and how insidious it is. But it's interesting because these ads are being called woke by conservative Christians like Charlie Kirk, who have taken online to criticize this campaign. And they say that, and you'll be able to know watching one of these ads why conservatives are so pissed off. So let me pull up He Gets Us. Let's watch one of these.
A rebel took to the streets.
Okay, is this the one that played at? Okay.
There was a mother and a father who had a son. They lived in a small village and didn't have much money, but they were happy. One day, they heard the head of their country was sending soldiers to their town because he thought they were part of an insurrection. The young family decided to flee. They grabbed only what they could carry and ran. They hiked for days, wondering if soldiers might still be following them. They were scared, hungry, and exhausted. But they were far away from the atrocities taking place in Bethlehem. That's all Mary and Joseph wanted. A safe place to call home.
So it's interesting because you watch that and the takeaway is that Jesus, the whole poor, the sick, the weary, Jesus was an immigrant, we should be opening our borders to those who in need, which is a very democratic point of view, right? So naturally, I mean, Charlie Kirk posted this. Naturally, your diehard conservative Christians are looking at these ads and going, this is bad, okay? This is not the message of Christ. This is too woke. This is adhering to the woke left and falling for their tricks. Here's another one. I want to watch the one that wait. Wait, it's us. Where's the one where they're fighting? It's kind of like a BLM. Okay, hold on.
more exciting than the game. But this year, viewers will give forgiveness to the masses. Its biggest after Super Bowl, the highest.
This is the Be Childlike one. Oh, that link is broken. There's one in particular I'm looking for that kind of that feels very reminiscent of the 2020 protests and uses social justice imagery. Where the hell is it? I saw this. I was watching this earlier today.
Controversial figure. Everywhere he went, people challenged him.
The message is stark.
Okay, hold on. Gets us ads. Love your enemy. Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind. Got no way to prove it, so maybe I'm lying. Take a look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see it clearer, or are you deceived in what you believe? 'Cause I'm only human after all.
So these are interesting because on the one hand, when you think about a Christian ad, right? You typically watch it and it's going to be, it's like off the bat, very nauseating, very like in your face, like, a white family. We love Jesus. Like, come love Jesus with us. These are just kind of the ads that the Christian nationalist movement love to run, right? So this is interesting because you watch this and until you get to the end, to the he gets us, right? Like Jesus said, love thy enemy, you don't really know what it is. And so I see why they did this because of who they're targeting. Now, I don't think it's going to work, but it's an interesting approach because of how they're making it seem. They're making it seem it's adhering. It's just like very relevant to what's happening in society. And yeah, it's very like come together right now, love thy enemy, et cetera, which is a bullshit way of view, or that's bullshit, right? And that's just minimizing the reality and the truth of our society. But it's a very kumbaya, hold hands. So you would think that this campaign and what they do online is that they are very specific about the fact when you go to their online site, hegetsus.com, they make it very clear that there is no political agenda. Okay? Jesus was both sides. Jesus loved all his children, and we are trying to remind one another about that message, right? So that is in and of itself just, okay, whatever, fine. That's bullshit because Jesus would have actually stood up to hatred and injustice, but fine. Like, this is a narrative that is not anything new. The important thing, though, is to know the group that is behind this campaign because they are not bipartisan. And they are not both sides. And they are not love thy enemy. Kumbaya, we're all in this together. No, the group that is behind this is staunchly a Christian nationalist group that is part of this Christian nationalist movement whose goal is to, one, pass a nationwide ban on abortion medication, okay? And two, make anti-LGBTQ discrimination legal, right? Three, to make sure that this country returns back to this anti-immigrant type country. Yeah, they are a hate group. They are a hate group. And they are the ones who are funding this campaign to promote radical forgiveness, compassion, and love, when in reality, they are bankrolling conservative nonprofit groups like Alliance for Freedom or Alliance Defending Freedom, which is one of the leading nonprofits in trying to, like I said, ban nationwide abortion medication and make anti-LGBTQ discrimination a thing. So if you've ever heard of Alliance Defending Freedom, you might also know it as the group that Senator Josh Hawley, Mr. Fascist himself from Missouri, that is the group that his wife is a leading, she is on the leading council. So she is out there arguing these cases in front of the Supreme Court, cases that they are winning. Like, the Christian nationalists have made great strides and have won very important cases when it comes to civil liberties. So, one of the people who's behind this He Gets Us campaign, which is a subsidiary of the Servant Foundation, is the CEO of Hobby Lobby, David Green. And what you'll remember about David Green is that he is a staunch Christian nationalist, right? Yes, not Hobby Lobby. Oh, yeah, baby, Hobby Lobby. And there was a case that went to the Supreme Court about Hobby Lobby not wanting to pay for their employees' health insurance to include birth control. And they won. Oh, yeah. So this man is a real demon. Okay. He's a real fucking demon. And he is out here pumping tens of millions of dollars into the Servant Foundation, which is running this campaign, this He Gets Us campaign, and then is also funding these Christian nationalist nonprofit groups like the Alliance Defending Freedom. Drongo Bones, thank you for the Prime Gaming. So, it's bad, essentially. And it's something where I don't think that like this He Gets Us campaign is suddenly going to turn all of these young woke leftists into Christian nationalists. But I think this is part of the larger problem, which is the fact that as Christianity declines in this country, in just Western civilization, right? Still, Alyssa, thank you for the Prime Gaming. Christian nationalism and the power and reach that they have in politics continues to go up. And Christian nationalism is nothing new when we're discussing politics, but we are at a point now where they're like, this is the flag that many Republicans, and of course, like every single MAGA Republican, are bearing. This idea that even though we were founded on the separation of church and state, oh, no. There actually needs to be no separation between church and state, because according to Christian nationalists, the United States of America was founded by God to be a Christian state. And so, therefore, there should be Christianity in politics. Like, it's not even just that, like, we shouldn't have, it's not even just like that these things shouldn't be separate. It's that they should be so deeply intertwined, and that every political decision that is made in this country is done under the roof of Christianity, which to these fucking psychopaths means a state where white, cis, a patriarchal society, where white cis men mainly are in power, like our founding fathers. And that is why they are fighting so hard and pouring so much money and so much energy into politics. Didn't Jesus have huge beef with the Pharisees, the governing body? Right. I mean, that's kind of, we've gotten so past the point of like what Christianity actually is, right? And what Jesus actually stood for, because they have turned Jesus into like a Santa Claus mythological type figure, where Jesus is who they want him to be to serve their interests and do what they need to do. They don't actually care about the true message of Christianity. Like, they put forth what they believe is the true message, but it's one that serves their interests. They're creating their own image of Jesus in order to amplify their message and their desire to make everyone Christian. Yes.
There was this controversial figure. Everywhere he went, people challenged him. They questioned his ideology, trolled him, called him ugly names. But he never took the bait, never raised his voice.
I'm a Christian, and the way that the right portrays Christianity, link themselves to Christianity, deeply saddens me. Yeah, I've heard this from many Christians who do not identify with the right. And that's why I say, like, these conservatives are using Christianity the way that they want to, and actually doing the opposite of what Jesus really stood for in order to further their political power.
Refused to retaliate because he believed he could change the world by turning the other cheek.
Have you guys seen these ads on TV from He Gets Us? And many times you don't realize that they're talking about Christianity, religion, specifically more Jesus and the things that we're told that he did. But these ads will be appearing on the Super Bowl, apparently, after a 20 million Super Bowl ad campaign was bought out by this group. I mean, maybe that'll buy you a 20-second ad. I'm not sure what the rates are lately. But this organization, they call themselves He Gets Us, but also the Jesus of Radical Forgiveness. They're all about compassion and love. But once you see some of the ties and connections they have, you might wonder about those descriptions of themselves. Here's more information about who they are and who they're connected to. He Gets Us is a subsidiary of the Servant Foundation, which is a Kansas-based charity also known as the Signatory, that says it exists to inspire and facilitate revolutionary biblical generosity. It's a lot of different words in that one little phrase. So between 2018 and 20, the Servant Foundation donated more than $50 million to the Alliance Defending Freedom, a nonprofit that's led big policy fights over abortion and non-discrimination laws at the Supreme Court and in states around the country. The nonprofit is designated as an anti-LGBTQ plus hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Damn it, Southern Poverty Law Center over here just labeling folks just for no reason, right? Right? We'll see. The Alliance Defending Freedom says it helped draft the 2018 Mississippi abortion law at the heart of the Supreme Court decision last year, allowing states to ban the procedure. It also helped argue that case before the High Court. This term, the Alliance Defending Freedom is leading a new Supreme Court case arguing that businesses should be able to discriminate against LGBTQ plus customers. So, pause for a second. This group that's about inclusion, love, and respect and all that is looking to discriminate. Also put forward and argued these things that apparently the heart of this Supreme Court decision that I thought politicians and maybe other folks within the government are supposed to be arguing towards. No, but it's this outside group that then puts the words in the mouths of these politicians and also the money in the pockets of these folks to then do their bidding. That goes on and on and on, so I guess we can accept that. But also the connections continue from there. They claim that their whole mission is inclusive. They said, we're also about sharing Jesus's openness to people that others might have excluded. His message went out to all, is what the group says. And though you may see religious people as often hypocritical or judgmental, know that Jesus saw that too and didn't like it either. Instead, Jesus taught and offered radical compassion and stood up for the marginalized. I was a little confused by that part. He said you might see religious people as often hypocritical or judgmental, and then goes on to talk about how they're looking to discriminate and judge folks and exclude them from these other things. I think
super cool that an org can be a nonprofit religious group and can also be a hate group. Yeah, right? So they have all the benefits of being a nonprofit org, and then they're using that to further their bigoted and hateful agenda.
You kind of walked right into the characterization that many folks have, but more because they plan to have more of these ads in the future, so they're looking to spend more money. But I'm curious, where is this money coming from, Ramesh? Yeah. Jason Vanderground, a consultant involved with He Gets Us, told Christianity News that the company's goal is to invest about $1 billion over the next 3 years towards its branding campaign. Where are they getting
$1 billion? What do you think Jesus would have done with $1 billion? Do you think that he would have used that money? Do you think he would have used $1 billion if he could have even conceptualized that amount of money and used it to stop LGBTQ people from getting married, from trans people from being able to use the bathroom? No. You know, from women or people who need to obtain an abortion for whatever reason. You think Jesus would be using this money to stop them? No. Ms., thank you for the 6 months. He would have blown it all on loaves and fishes. Yeah, he would have blown it on. He would have turned a lot of water into wine. $1 billion towards its branding campaign. That is sickening. Sickening.
This $1 billion from? Some of that money's come from billionaire David Green. Have you heard of that guy before?
Hobby
He's
Lobby.
a devout Christian co-founder of the arts and crafts chain Hobby Lobby. Green and Hobby Lobby fought the Obama administration's contraception mandate all the way to the Supreme Court, leading to the 2014 ruling that closely held corporations do not have to comply with the mandate if their owners voice religious objections for some health care for these employees of theirs. Inclusion, morality, helpful, and Jesus-like. He gets us, right, AB? Does he get us?
I hope he gets them and everybody that supports them a first-class ticket via Spirit Airlines to hell. That's what I hope.
First class ticket via Spirit Airlines to hell. Yeah. I mean, we all know Austin Show would just being on Spirit Airlines alone is hell, let alone that Spirit Airlines flight going to hell. First class. I hope he gets them a first class ticket on Spirit Airlines straight to hell.
Yeah, because that's
You know, have you seen some of these ads though? AB, have you seen some of these other ads that they have? I'm
don't.
curious.
And the audacity of them to play them in the middle of Rihanna's concert. I don't know nothing about the Super Bowl, but that's audacious. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you, Ramesh?
I've seen one of them before. I mean, there's a lot here. I mean, this is a very, very manipulative project. So, all right. So this group is creating ads using extremely progressive language, right? Or I might even say like the language of someone like Cornel West, right? Radical compassion, care and love, right? Cornel West is a devout Christian, right? So, wow, how different, right? So I wonder if radical compassion.
Fun fact for those who know Cornel West, Will's old roommate, who he lived with for years, that is his uncle. Cornel West is his uncle. And I used to ask him, I was like, is he the same way in real life? Like his, like we see him when he makes his appearances? And he's like, oh yeah, no, he's crazy. He's like in a great way, but like he's nuts.
And discriminating against LGBTQ people are consistent with one another? The answer is obviously no, right? So this, I think, is touching on a few different nerves for me. First of all, I tend to be pretty uncomfortable with religious advertisements airing during major national events in a country that's not merely Christian. We're not all Christian in this country. Second of all, right, we're seeing that these are a set of ads that are funded and pushing ultimately extremist right-wing agenda that is discriminatory and likely very defaming toward women and women's rights and women's health. I wonder what if a mosque, a very moderate, compassionate Islamic group would decide to air an ad during the Super Bowl, how that might go. Or what if Black Lives Matter decided to air an ad during the Super Bowl? I wonder how that might be.
Someone said it earlier, but if there was an ad that was run as propaganda for Islam, people would have lost their fucking minds. The right would have lost their goddamn minds. Really, if it was anything other than what they support, right? An Antifa ad? Yeah, let's fucking go. Seriously, though. If there was an ad that wasn't even run as like propaganda to try to get people to join Islam, but just like I don't know, there's real people behind the hijab, and Islam is, it is a religion filled with many amazing followers, and we need to, like, whatever, just like the PSA for kindness and compassion. First of all, the NFL wouldn't have run it, okay? Second of all, the right would have gone fucking insane. We would never have heard the end. This would have been linked back to Joe Biden, the Chinese spy balloon. It's just, you never would have heard the end of it. I don't understand the need some Christians feel to make everyone a believer. Like, religion's so personal. It's no one. That's a funny thing, right? I always say to myself, okay, these Christians, these Marjorie Taylor Greens and whatnot, y'all hate us. So what do you care? What do you care if we're Christians or not, right? And obviously, this is a rhetorical question, because their goal is not for us to be Christians. It's for anti-LGBTQ, anti-abortion, anti-immigrant, like everything, right? To be the rule of law in this country. But it is like, okay, so we're going to hell. Let us go to hell then. Why do you give a shit? Why are you hate us? You think we're all evil and in league with Satan? Great. Let us go to hell, because that's not what it's about. Yeah, they don't want us to be Christian. They just want us dead. Exactly. And then for like Christians who are not MAGA politicians, but are, they are deeply religious and do want to see the message of Christ spread far and near. I I think that there are many Christians who believe it is their duty as a follower of Christ to ensure that Christianity is the religion of the land. And because Christianity has been declining in recent decades, and not just in America, but in Western civilizations, I think that it's almost like even more of a call to action, a CTA, for Christians to ensure that Christianity stays strong and continues to be something that young people become a part of and then carry on through to the next generations. But yes, conservatives through their politics take it and bastardize it and have just absolutely run the good name of Jesus H. Christ through the mud.
Treated, and whether there would be any sort of consistency associated with that. So, you know, what Christianity means is very different based on who or where you are. In the name of Christianity, many socialist, liberatory, indigenous rights, beautifully civil rights-oriented struggles have occurred. But this is a bait and switch, and it's a trap for us who are viewing it.
I was wondering if you guys had seen these ads, because they do come across very, like, you can get the Christianity part of it, you can see it coming, but the thing is it comes without the open your Bible, read this part. If you don't, you're going to hell. It doesn't give that energy. No. It gives more the energy of, hey, it's a very normal situation. Hey, you can be a normal guy who doesn't go to church every day. You can get it. He gets you. He's intertwined with your daily life. And it actually feels, if you're just looking at it, generally inspirational. Like, oh, I didn't know that Christians were like this. Many people who are maybe hearing about what they see or see some of the most rabid things that are being said on TV or on the internet, they may think, oh man, every Christian is just this rabid, bloodthirsty human being. But they come with this different approach. And I was like, oh, maybe they're trying to rebrand. Maybe they're trying to actually look in a different way to attract people with some positivity rather than fear. But then you never know who's behind these types of things and actually what is there.
This is exactly what I was saying, right? Where the ad itself doesn't seem nefarious and insidious, right? And in actuality, as far as Christian ads go, it seems like one of the better ones, right? They use social justice imagery, you know, a lot of what is being evoked does seem to speak to the things that Democrats are fighting for in this country, right? The ability for refugees who are seeking a better life to find it here, you know, whatever. Like, and by Democrats I mean, of course, this adheres to more of like centrist democratic policies. Like, let's just all get along. So it's scary because of the group that is behind this and how their goal, their mission is to ensure that the rights and the liberties of people in this country who are not cis white males are put on the chopping block, right? Women should not have the right to choose. LGBTQ folk should not have the right to exist. Immigrants and people who are fleeing their countries as refugees should not be allowed to come through our doors. They're smart in the way they did it. I will give them that, but that's all about I'm giving them. True. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying as well. Which is why it's good that so many people online are aware of who this group is and the insidiousness behind these ads that appear to be like decent, right? It's like, it is like the US military ads. Yes.
They're in the workings.
Which is exactly what this ad comes across as. And the one that I saw is like that. It's like, Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for the stories of Jesus that I know of. But if you're going to try to lure people in with compassionate content and then push them into extremely discriminatory places, then you're actually, you're turning people into hypocrites who want to be drawn by Christianity.
And I wonder if an LGBTQ plus person, someone in the community, then sees and goes, oh. And then once they are invited in, then it's, oh yeah, no, not you.
Yeah, not you.
Yeah. And then how that would suddenly mess with their entire mindset for what they thought was compassion.
It's like that famous line from Animal Farm, remember it? All of us are created equal, but some of us are more equal than others.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Jake.
Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships.
You got it,
You'll
buddy.
get to interact with us more. There's live chat, emojis, badges. You got to.
I already bought 10 shirts. The jank emote. Oh, that's funny. Okay, I had another video I wanted to pull up.
And for all of
Okay. Also, a friend of mine who, he has the coolest job in the world. He just puts on all the sickest events, but he does the Super Bowl every year. So I messaged him and I was like, hey, you killed it with the show. And he said this one was really tough. I go, why? Because of Rihanna being pregnant? And he's like, yeah, very much so. Lots of safety stuff. And I was like, well, you guys, they did do a great job with having to, I mean, that's a hard thing, having to deal with your talent being pregnant. And yes, when the platform wobbled in that moment, that was terrifying. It was so scary. I would have been losing my mind. Did I go to Guy Fieri's party this year? No, this was the first year in a few years that I did not work the tailgate that Guy does every year. I've kind of hung up my service industry hat. No Flavor Town. Yeah. All right, I'm going to grab some water. Right back. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay.
The United States
No more talking
Constitution
now.
holds the separation of church and state as sacrosanct. It's a pillar of American democracy and a core facet of its identity. However, in recent years, there's been an undercurrent of religious rhetoric and symbology permeating political discourse.
Thank you, Parker.
Christian nationalism is a term you might have heard on the news or in speeches from some on the right.
I also want to be very clear when I'm talking about Christianity and nationalism. Like, I understand very well that I have people in my community who are Christian, who are all different religions, no religion, and that is great, right? This is not about, and you all know this, this is not about you. This is about the bad Christians.
But what is it really? And is it on the rise? This week in an Upfront special, we take a closer look at Christian nationalism and how it's affecting politics.
We
and
respect
civil
all
rights
religions,
in the
all
United
creeds
States.
in this chat.
Joining us to discuss this is Anthea Butler, Chair of Religious Studies at the University of Pennsylvania and author of White Evangelical Racism, The Politics of Morality in America. Amanda
Thank you,
Tyler,
Peter,
Executive Director of the
XYZ,
Baptist Joint Committee and
for the Prime
contributing
Gaming.
author to the Christian Nationalism and the January 6th Insurrection Report. And Kristen Dumais, Professor of History at Calvin University and author of Jesus and John Wayne, How White Evangelicals Corrupted a Faith and Fractured a Nation. Some provocative titles around here. Anthea, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to start with you first. The term Christian nationalism has cropped up at various times in U.S. history, and some would argue it's had a consistent presence since the country's founding, from connections to white supremacist groups like the KKK to the more recent Patriot Front. Christian nationalism is by no means a new phenomenon. Taking its history into account, how do you define Christian nationalism as it is today?
Actually, simply, I just define it as people who believe that God created America for a purpose, that America is special. In other words,
Hell
when
yeah,
you are
brother.
a Christian nationalist, you believe that God created America as a Christian nation, first of all. Second, that white men who were the founders of this nation were also Christian. And that third, that Christianity is the most important religion of all. And that really flies in the face of a lot of things that the founders and the framers
you'd have to almost
said.
ignore all the founding documents.
Absolutely.
To arrive at this position. It's a fascinating one. I've never understood it.
Absolutely. And I think...
Side note, somebody on Twitter goes, someone was like, how come the UFOs are only being seen in America right now, even though they're not? And someone goes, because it's America, baby. And America is special. Okay, this is the only place on Earth that the aliens would want to come to. America. America.
You know, one of the things that I find troubling about this is the two things, actually. One is the way in which they get it all wrong about the founders and the framers and things that they've said and what our documents say in the Declaration of Independence, in the Constitution, you know, no religious test. They believe in religious tests, and there's a big religious test about Christianity. But at the same time, they don't want a lot of government, but they want a Christian government. And so these are the things that I call the tensions within Christian nationalism, about Christian nationalists who can't really get the story right 100%.
Yeah.
And, you know, for all of us around this table, we might have different iterations of what we think Christian nationalism is, but I do think it lodges in very much in the history of this nation, how it was founded and why it was founded, and everyone trying to put a divine sort of approbation about America on top of everything.
Christian nationalism has had like a revival, really a strong one since the 1970s, when evangelicals on
It's
the
like a
right kind of
Broadway
aligned
musical.
themselves with the Republican Party, presumably in an effort to kind of galvanize an anti-liberal movement. Take us through what's happened over the last, oh my God, it's been 50 years. I didn't realize the 70s was 50 years ago. Take me through the last half century of what's happened and how the ideology has kind of evolved over time.
No, you're exactly right. So the idea that America is a Christian nation has been around for a very long time. But what we're talking about today, the current kind of explosion of conversation around white Christian nationalism, really can be traced back to the 1960s and 1970s, emerging in this Cold War era. Now, just before that, you had a strong sense of patriotism, right? We had a common enemy in communism, and Christian nationalism was often something that united Americans together.
Not just right-wing politics.
Exactly, a kind of consensus era. In the 60s, that starts to splinter. And we have the civil rights movement, the feminist movement, and the anti-war movement. And that's when we see some of these core values of patriotism, of Christian America, of gender traditionalism